Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, the biggest mistake that the Fulanization agenda has made was to move it into the southwestern part of the country, because the southwestern part of the country is where the Yorubas live, and the Yorubas control the media space in Nigeria, they control the banking, etc. And the Yorubas, they are not given to being taken over by anyone, especially within their zone, because we're a peace-loving people, and really we don't really know how to respond to an AK-47 type person, but we do know how to highlight a situation and bear pressure through intellect. So now this is what is going on now. So off the back of the Obasanjo letter, guys, I bring you this. Fulani herdsmen crisis. Alaafin writes Buhari says Nigeria sliding into anarchy. So that's the headline. Fulani herdsmen crisis. Alaafin writes Buhari says Nigeria sliding into anarchy. So that's, of course, is the Alaafin of Oyo. So now let's get into the body of the story. A foremost Yoruba traditional ruler, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, on Sunday sent a Save Our Soul message to President Muhammadu Buhari over the siege on Yoruba land by Fulani herdsmen with allegations of killing, kidnapping, raping, and other heinous crimes, as he gave a stern warning that the people were fast losing their patience. According to Oba Adeyemi, the pseudo-herders, sometimes in military uniform, have created a climate of fear and uncertainty in Yoruba land, with the federal government and security agencies showing signs of ambivalence and helplessness as the country slides into anarchy. In a letter with the title Yoruba Question in Nigeria's Conundrum, so that's the title of the letter that he wrote to Buhari. So in a letter with the title Yoruba Question in Nigeria's Conundrum to President Buhari, the monarch said the current situation amounted to a serious national emergency because at a time the rest of the world were making appreciable progress in providing enhanced standard of living, Nigerians were living under fear of banditry, brigandage, rape, kidnapping, and terrorism. The letter is coming as the remains of Mrs. Funke Olakunrin, the daughter of the leader of the Pan-Yoruba organization Afenifere that was killed by suspected Fulani herdsmen about 2 weeks ago, is interred today in Akure, the Ondo state capital. In Yoruba land, we're scared and worried about the outrageous audacity and effrontery of these criminal elements in carrying out their activities and without any challenge by security operatives, Oba Adeyemi warned. Apart from massive destruction of farms and crops planted on them, the new wave of Fulani, pretending and disguising as herders, have unleashed a reign of terror on Yoruba land. They destroy crops, they kidnap men and women, violate and rape our women right in the presence of their husbands. What this portends is definitely more than the simplistic interpretation of farmer-herder clash, but the deliberate act of hostility and criminality. What makes it worrisome is the fact that for some reason best known to the police establishment, they have not been apprehending or pretend to be in defense of the victims. There's always a tendency to blame the victims and demonstrate helplessness in apprehending and bringing perpetrators to book to face the full wrath of the law. It is even said, Mr. President, that these criminal pseudo-herders go about their nefarious activities in broad daylight and many times in military uniform. They carry sophisticated weapons, the like of which are only available to state actors. There seems to be no doubt that the security apparatus of the country is both overstretched and rustic. The philosophy of policing the state, protecting lives and property, and ensuring the existence of atmosphere that is conducive to life and living in Nigeria is lost on the security personnel. In Yoruba land, we are scared and worried about the outrageous audacity and effrontery of these criminal elements in carrying out their activities and without any challenge by security operatives. In situations where money exchanged hands, the police are adequately equipped to trace every paper money issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Intelligence gathering concerning monies paid in ransom should lead finally to these criminals, since they would eventually make transactions with the proceeds of their illicit and criminal activities. Oba Adeyemi emphasized the precarious state of security questioned the competence and neutrality of existing security architecture of the nation. This is a serious national emergency. When Fulani herdsmen are engaged in criminal activity all over the country and the sitting federal government seems helpless and generally unperturbed by what is going on in the security organizations, there is no doubt that some leaders of these security organizations are either incompetent or bankrupt of ideas. Some are even compromised to take any decisive action against criminals. What we are witnessing in Nigeria is an anomaly, because it is inconceivable that in the 21st century, when the whole world is making appreciable progress in providing enhanced standard of living, Nigeria will be living under the fear of banditry, brigandage, rape, kidnapping, and terrorism. Oba Adeyemi, who stated that he had never been timid or shy of his unalloyed support of the administration of President Buhari to deliver Nigeria to the promised land, however, said the ambivalence of the federal government towards the worsening insecurity caused by murderous herders did not only pose a grave danger to living in the country, but also impinges on the dignity of the nation in the community of nations. As more and more countries issue travel restrictions to Nigeria and parts of, it is just a matter of time for Nigeria to lose whatever gains it has made in repositioning itself for more decisive participation in international system. I trust that you will not allow this to happen and will quickly and decisively take immediate steps to re-establish confidence in your government and demonstrate the capacity of the state to protect all legitimate interest. Oba Adeyemi counseled. The monarch said that though his confidence in the president remains unshaken, he was, however, particularly worried by the security situation in the entire Yoruba-speaking area of the country, including Kwara, Kogi, and Edo, citing a few cases of high-profile kidnapping, killings, and banditry that were perpetrated by herders. Oba Adeyemi said the fully armed Fulani herdsmen had acted in broad daylight in virtually all highways, especially the bushy ones. Whether in Owo, Akure, Ilesha-Ife, Ibadan Road, or Ibarakpa area or Ijebu area of Ogun State, the story is the same. I have held series of consultations with opinion molders and eminent Yoruba leaders across board about the menace of these cattle herdsmen, with such assaults like raping of our women and in some occasions in the presence of their husband. This is apart from the massive destruction of our agricultural lands, which ultimately points to imminent starvation. On top of it all is the menace of professional kidnappers, usually in military uniform. What is more worrisome about the kidnapping notoriety is what looks like impunity which these kidnappers enjoy their nefarious activities. After due consultation with Yoruba leaders and as the pre-colonial head of the Yoruba nation, we are worried about the audacity of these lawless people in effecting their illegal acts in broad daylight on our usually bushy highway without any arm of security being able to do anything. What still is the confidence with which they demand ransoms and collect such illegal levies at designated spots without any arm of security being able to lay siege on them as it was the practice in recent past? Now we cannot even talk of parading suspects when in actual sense no major arrests have been made in this part of the country. Without arrest, we cannot talk of their facing the law. Unfortunately and painfully indeed, in the face of the apparent helplessness of our security agencies, where do we go from here? It is at the wake of this manifest frustration of our people that our people have found it unavoidable, even though reluctantly, to resort to alternative measures to safeguard their lives and property. Suffice to say that most part of Yoruba land, their pre-colonial military structures have not been totally collapsed. Hence, such structures like Oduduwa People's Congress, OPC, Agbekoya, and other vigilante groups. He listed the most recent case of kidnapping and murder linked to herdsmen to include certain individuals were kidnapped along Orio Aramoko Road, Ekiti, who were tortured and exposed to danger in the forest for about 2 weeks. The victims included the Secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Okolo Branch, Adeola Adebayo, whose decomposing body was eventually found after a ransom or a price of 4 million naira had been paid. Another instance where 2 officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps, both Yoruba, kidnapped along the Ilesha-Akure Highway, during which an unnamed individual lost his life. The other case involved a legal practitioner based in Ibadan, Adetunbi, who was on his way to attend an appeal court session in Akure when he was kidnapped along the Ilesha-Akure Highway. Another victim of the herders was a surgeon at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Professor Adegbe Higi, whose kidnapped along the Ibadan-Ile-Ife Highway. Dr. Omoleke, the administrative secretary of INEC, was kidnapped around Ilesha, Osun State. Mr. Ayo Oladele, an employee of Guinness Nigeria and an old student of Christ Church School, Ado Ekiti, and Dayo Adewole, the son of a member of the Ministry of Health, Professor Adewole, was kidnapped on his farm in Iroko, a village along Ibadan-Oyo Road. It is at the wake of this manifest frustration of our people that our people have found it unavoidable, even though reluctantly, to resort to alternative measures to safeguard their lives and property. The Alaafin said, as a concerned stakeholder in the present administration, he deemed it necessary to alert President Buhari on the need to quickly respond to the siege on Yoruba land by Fulani herdsmen, because there is a general impression amongst opposition groups that you are not known to take decisive and proactive steps in many matters of national interest, and that you are not usually too disturbed about the gale of insecurity in Yoruba land. So now this is now the Alaafin of Oyo adding his voice to the voice of the Ooni of Ife, and to the voice of Obasanjo, and to the voice of Professor Wole Soyinka. So effectively the whole Yoruba race as an entity is now saying that enough is enough. Enough is enough. We cannot have it that we cannot go about our business within our own homestead without being accosted and slaughtered by the president's clansmen. So we cannot have this. So we now need these people to go back to their region, please, so that they can go be there and do as they please and act, because we are not animals in Yoruba land. We're civilized people, we're an educated people, and we live life in a certain way. because listen to what the Oni said, because the Oni is exactly right. And if you have been listening to my channel for any length of time, you would have found echoes of what I have been saying as well in what the Oni has said, because not the Oni, the Alaafin rather, what the Alaafin has said, because the thing is, our way of life is completely different. The international community is raising the standards of living for their people, and the whole of China have been lifted out of poverty, over 1 billion of them. The whole of India have been lifted out of poverty, over 1 billion of them. But instead of Nigeria lifting out of poverty, we are now regressing to this like sub-primal way of being, where people are living in the bushes and raping and pillaging all the way through, in a country that is meant to be a middle income country, a wealthy country, and an educated country rather. So now this cannot just be. And the president, like the Alaafin rightly said, he just seems to look the other way. He will never say anything. He will just hide away in Aso Rock, drinking akamu and counting the Niger Delta petrol dollars, and that is really all he seems to do. Because crisis after crisis, you never hear this man come out and take a position or do anything that will send a signal to anyone, either to reassure or to warn the perpetrators that your time is up and I will deal with you. But of course, he is not going to deal with the Fulani herdsmen. The Fulani herdsmen are Fulani. Madam Buhari is a Fulani, and Madam Buhari, above all else that he is a Fulani first, and that is all that he really cares about. So now this is now starting to come home to the Yorubas, who effectively put him in that post. So it is now time for us now to gather our brains and then think how to rescue ourselves from these people, because as the Alaafin already said, and as we already know, Madam Buhari will just look the other way and ignore everything. It doesn't really bother him. I didn't know Yoruba people, the Fulani is not Nigerian, let them go and battle it out. Send 10 soldiers there. If the 10 soldiers cannot contain them, that's just too bad, because we need the rest of the soldiers to guard my own interest and all whatnot. And that's pretty much all he does. So conversations in the comment section is what I am inviting. A fairly lengthy video, this one, but I'm hoping that you stuck with it to the end. So come tell me what you're now making of this movement that is now taking shape within the Yoruba space. So come share your thoughts with me about what the Alaafin said. But before you come share those thoughts with me about what the Alaafin said, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of the goings on in Nigeria, especially off the back of what this letter is saying from the Alaafin to Madam Buhari. So come have those discussions with me in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Join you in the comments.